Tonight, what's up, Monty?
What's up?
Oh, I'm so tired. I'm in that like psycho state. So, it's ACC after dark. I got to start preparing for when Cal and Stanford, I guess, join the conference.
Oh yeah, we're training.
Yeah, no kidding. I really want to go to bed, Monty, but obviously I got to do the home run counter. So, no rest for the wicked.
You
But
did that to yourself by accident, but you did do it to yourself.
I
Nobody
mean,
asked you.
yes, but you cannot tell me that people do not like it.
Well, you've gotten a lot of praise.
Canes
Apparently.
Cat Heat. Do you ever sleep?
No, it doesn't matter that Miami's not anywhere near the tournament. He's still here
At
watching
least, Canes Cat Heat. At least the Florida Panthers are headed to the Stanley Cup final.
What sport's that?
Hockey. Man, even your dogs are jacked up on Mountain Dew right now, Monty.
They've been left alone for the last 8 hours, so yeah.
Oh yeah, they're probably pissed at you.
Yeah, they're.
I'm going to assume, Monty, you are not going to the not losers game, but the early game tomorrow in Charlottesville.
I'm planning on it actually.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why today you got to pace yourself with the first elimination game if UVA is not in it, and then sandwich it with the two double headers.
Or just be a psychopath that goes to games in different regionals in different states.
I could do that, except for the dogs.
No, I get it, Monty. I don't blame you. All right, let's get into this, Monty, because we want to try to keep this under 30 minutes. Thank you to everyone that's joining. Josh, shout out to you. OG, obviously. Your Knowles, we'll talk about them, but chop on. That's a Braves thing, isn't it? But anyways, who cares? Let's do the negative first. Let's just talk about for a second how the clear-cut Omaha team from the ACC was the first one done. Wake Forest finds the bats late, still loses 7-6. Monty, did you watch the end of this game? I shouldn't be openly admitting this, but I did have it on where my phone was sitting on my dashboard and I was driving watching it.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't admit that. So I left.
Hey, hands-free state. My hands were not on my phone.
Yeah, that's true. I left. It was 6-4. I went, okay, it's going to be good to go. Michael Massey's on the mound. Everything's fine. And I was on the phone with my mother. I got off of the phone and I saw the text, I think from Nick. You were Nick about Wake Forest. It must have been Nick because you would have been hands-free. So it must have been Nick about talking about it. And I was like, wait, what? Wake lost? Apparently, Michael Massey got singled to death, and unfortunately, Wake Forest season is over.
Monty, I watched for any UVA fans that might be listening or watching, right? Monty and I have had the conversation about how painful it was for me last year to watch. Of course, I'm drawing a blank on his name, getting left out there too long. Thank you, Jake Berry. Just to have Jay Woolfolk come in a situation where it's not going to end well because there's literally nothing he can do. That's what happened to Cole Rowland today. They said, all right, well, the bases are loaded now. Here you go, Cole. We're going to actually go to our closer now. Nick's rants are, I don't know if they're more fun than mine. I would say probably because I'm not angry. But, it was something to where, and I think I don't want to take away from what Wake Forest did to take the lead in the ninth, but ECU really did kind of get in their own way. They had an error that kind of opened the door, a lot of walks in that situation. Nick Kurtz obviously beats out a play at first. That's huge. But those were all very ECU thought they were out of it multiple times. And, Wake Forest just plain and simple, they weren't very good. Thanks for letting us know you're not joining, Jake. You could have just not joined. But I appreciate you not joining.
Oh, I was about to get mad that he was joining.
I
was about to get mad.
But, I just...
No, he's gone.
But, Wake Forest just kind of,
who would have had them being the first one out? We all were looking forward to a potential Tennessee Chase Burns matchup. It's not happening now. We did get the Savage versus Burns matchup, and I thought that was pretty great for the. And then obviously at the end of the game, it was ECU, and that atmosphere. The jungle is insane. I love the camera work and them making sure they were pumping in. But I will say I was disgusted by the fact that they did not have the ESPN crew on location, especially considering the play-by-play guys from Charlotte. So you're telling me that you guys couldn't fork out the money to send him to Greenville? Or excuse me, not couldn't, but wouldn't fork out the money to send him to Greenville? We've got you Savage versus Burns as his two top 15 draft picks, and you guys can't send your commentators there. So there's my anger.
So we talked about that at Clemson because Clemson did have a live broadcast, like actual broadcasters on site. And something that was brought up, and I have no idea if this is accurate or not.
Are you going to defend ESPN right now to me?
No, not defend. I'm not defend. I'm just simply responding to something that like I thought was an interesting point. So a lot of these press boxes, Monty, you've been to a lot of parks too. These college ballpark press boxes are small as, we'll just fill in whatever word you want to put there, but they're very small, right? ECU supposedly has a small press box, according to some of the people in the Clemson one. So they're wondering if they just didn't have room for 4 teams on top of it, which makes zero sense to me. I don't mean to disrespect VCU or Evansville. I doubt they're bringing a ton of people. Like, I doubt they have radio broadcasts of their games. So I don't know why broadcast booths would be full. But again, that was something that was brought up as like, I wonder if this is the reason.
And Clemson might go. Clemson goes to ECU every fall because Bakich and Godwin are former teammates, I believe at East Carolina. Right. So
so they talked. So that was just brought up again. I have no idea. No one actually said that's the definitive reason. That was just an interesting point. I still agree with you, Monty. This game is too big to not have. Like, I bet you. I mean, heck, bring those 11.7 guys in. Let's have them broadcast it from the outfield in the jungle. I mean, that'd be sick.
Or Darren Vaught, who lives in the Triangle, so he's not far from Greenville.
True.
And is on call for ESPN, was actually probably chomping at the bit to commentate a regional.
He was doing high school baseball in Burlington. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. He did end up doing something this weekend. So,
but no, I mean, that was obviously frustrating. Obviously, Chase Burns too, right, Monty? Not the Chase Burns we've seen. I mean, he wasn't bad, but we talked about it, right? The hard contact has always been a concern when it comes to Chase Burns. And when he gives up one, he gives up one. What did he do? Give up a 3-run home run. That's obviously not the difference per se, but that's what caused Wake to have to rally the way they did.
Yeah, normally he doesn't give up the home run with runners on base. I think that's the difference. Yeah. You see him give up the home run. Yeah. Typically he's good for one home run, giving up a game.
Yeah, and he flirted with disaster a lot in this game too. He had a couple times early that, ECU didn't get anything out of, runners on first and second. But I mean, overall, this was, obviously there's that stage of grief. Wake Forest fans are calling for Walter's head. We all know that's not even remotely a good idea. Like, come on. But I will say there are some question marks. I mean, this has to be viewed as a very disappointing season for Wake, right, Monty? I mean, the preseason #1, the expectation was to go back to Omaha. And not only do they not host a regional, which partially not their fault, partially is because they didn't have a good ACC record, but then they also go to, 0-2 in the tournament. I mean, Monty, Nick and I saw Wake Forest's last NCAA tournament win, which was in Omaha against LSU before them losing 2 against LSU. So just something that is intriguing to me is just this team is struggling offensively in these tournament games. And, yeah, just kind of a disappointing, obviously, season for the Deeks.
You started that off asking me a question and then proceeded to answer it yourself for about a minute and a half there.
So, Monty, thoughts?
Yeah, I was sitting there waiting because I was like, am I supposed to say something at some point? No, I agree. And, for all them calling for Tom Walter's head, you never know. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, and you might find out. I mean, I don't know. I doubt he gets fired, but, he could be going to another job somewhere. Who knows? I mean, he's done a pretty good job with that program last couple of years, and, you got to worry about that. But anyway, it's a disappointing season. Obviously, you had a lot of regression for someone like Josh Hartle. Some of the transfers didn't work out. They weren't really able to replace Bennett Lee behind the plate. they lost a lot of guys, and they were a little top heavy with the stars, and those stars did come through at times. But having Massey hurt all year, around banged up, didn't help either. So it's going to be interesting to see what they look like next year.
I think what's most amazing to me, Monty, about this tournament for Wake is that David Falco was the ace of the 2 games.
Oh, he looks so freaking good. I mean, I was thoroughly enjoying that matchup with him and Christian Gordon. They were going back and forth, and man, that's as good as I've ever seen Falco.
Well, you can't give too much flowers to Christian Gordon. He did absolutely nothing, according to Nick. Remember, it was all
right. It was all Wake Forest being terrible, not Christian Gordon being really good.
Yeah, right. But obviously, frustrating season. Wake Forest fans, I'm going to bite my tongue, but if you're calling for Tom Walter's head, please send me when you showed up to the couch in March when Nick and I were about one of 500 people at the ballpark. So don't be grass isn't always greener, just Wake Forest they're going to be back next year, right? Where I don't think any of us think they're done for.
Except Kane's Cats. As you say,
I would like to think the new reality for Wake Forest is NCAA tournament every year. And if that's the case, then you're right, Kane's Cat. I don't think this is an Omaha team every single year.
It's hard to be that caliber.
Yeah, over and over again. And again, like the pitching lab is special, but you still need guys to come down to Wake Forest. You still need, and like until NIL becomes, Wake has NIL, but until NIL becomes really, really big or the scholarship limits go away, Wake Forest is a very expensive school to go to. There's not everyone signing up to go to Wake. So not because of the institution or the coaches, just because, again, financial decisions that come with that.
I will say I did see one of their new pitchers pitching yesterday against Virginia.
It's pretty good.
And it's the whole Ivy League thing is a little wild to me that those guys have basically committed months in advance while they're still playing for an Ivy League school. Like the Penn's player Wyatt Hensler, who's amazing, has been committed to Texas A&M for like a year.
Okay, Jake, calm down. Calm down, Jake. Calm down.
I'm sorry that I mentioned Texas A&M.
He only mentioned it. No. He mentioned Wyatt Hensler 4 times yesterday on our show.
Are you kidding? I didn't watch it, so my bad. I didn't know that. Wyatt Hensler didn't even do anything yesterday.
I know. That's why we talked about it. He was 0 for 4, but he's committed to Texas A&M. But he was Ivy League Player of the Year. What I'm like, breathe, Jake.
Well, Penn, he's now officially a Texas A&M player because his season is over at Penn. Anyway,
that game, by the way, was sick. Also,
I did not see any of it. Shotgun spread.
Besides the point
of D1, but let's get to the positives.
Let's go with your boys first. The hat that's on,
the shirt
Duke handles well, and Monty. The best part about the whole day was we saw someone special return into the Duke lineup. Can you tell the wonderful folks about the Jonathan Santucci start?
Yeah, he came back. He was able to he only pitched 2 innings, but he had a couple of, I want to say 3 or 4 strikeouts. He was able to give them a couple of innings, not too much, but then they turned it over to Talon for a little bit, and then Kyle Johnson came in for 3 innings. The offense was still a little slow to start, but they finally got going. Chase Cruson had a couple of hits. Zach Morris had 3 hits. Who am I forgetting? Oh, Jimmy Evans, who came into the game with 12 plate appearances, hit a home run. He had a big moment in the ACC tournament last week. He has a home run in his first in a Duke uniform today. Really cool moment for him. Duke was able to finally get the offense going a little bit. I think they're poised to have a big offensive day at some point tomorrow, but they're going to have the Wallace Clark game against Oklahoma tomorrow. I want to say, I don't know if it's at noon or 1, but it'll be one of the 2 times there. I think it's 1 I think it's 12 o'clock there. I can't remember.
I'm looking it up right now while you ramble.
Yeah, while I ramble, I have useful information.
It is actually even later than you thought.
It's 3?
It's 3 o'clock Eastern.
That's interesting. So, 3 o'clock Eastern, which means 2 Central, which means they'll be playing. I mean, I guess that makes sense. They'll be ready to roll again at 7. The winner will be able to roll again at 7. So, we'll see. yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how they can go. But if there's any team, any ACC team in particular, I think has the pitching to come back from a loser's bracket, it's the Duke Blue Devils.
No, 100% agree with you, Monty. 100% agree with you. All right.
Let's talk about the team that your hat is on.
No. You're forgetting someone very important. Someone else that played in a loser's game today. Ah, there you are, Monty. Attaboy.
You were looking for yours.
I know where it is. I just didn't know if I wanted to get up and get it. But the Buzz Boys, get it done. Monty, I want to tell you how cool today was.
Hey,
so
real quick.
I was there unnecessarily early. I mean, like, unnecessarily, like 10:15 for a noon game that didn't have the host team. Like, I don't even know why I was there. I couldn't sleep.
I don't feel bad for you then.
Huh?
You know, when you said you were tired, I don't feel bad for you anymore.
Well, for what it's worth, I was laying in bed. It was like, I can't go back to sleep because I can't sleep that much longer, because if not, then I'll oversleep. So anyways, I was like, I'm just going to go over to the ballpark. I mean, I'm 8 minutes away. So I was like, I'll go over there. Why not? Let's go hang out. And I am greeted by multiple Georgia people, but the best one I think that happened was all of a sudden I hear shouts from the dugout. And I'm like, who in the world is yelling? Because at first I thought they were saying Mike, because obviously there's multiple Mikes on multiple teams.
Mike.
Yeah, right. So I'm like, okay, like I'm just going to ignore it. But then I walk back, and all of a sudden I just hear Micah. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, who is trying to call me? And of course, now my phone is freaking out because I'm done trying to tweet all this stuff. But guess who is shouting my name? The man, the myth, the legend, the one that also said hello to me and said, nice hat in Charlotte, Mr. James Ramsey, the associate head. What?
Yeah, I said, oh, yeah, that's right. I was trying to remember because I was like, what's Isaac?
Associate head coach for Georgia Tech. And he goes, the boys are buzzing. The boys are buzzing, Micah. It's going to be a great day. The boys are buzzing. And then all of a sudden, like, they have a speaker in the dugout, and all of a sudden it just gets cranked up. And I'm like, oh, shit. Shoot. Now it's got to put the E on it. Oh, crap. This team ain't losing. I didn't need an energy drink at that point. I was juiced up, and they came out and did exactly what was mentioned. Drew Burris goes solo shot to start. Then the Goose gets loose as well, does his own thing. And then someone got ejected or warned or whatever for literally taking one step off the step onto the actual playing surface to put the helmet on for the home run. Gotta love that. Dude, I tell you, that umpire was looking for, because he even looked for it when Army homered. He was like staring at their dugout like, got anything? You got any of that good stuff? I'm not going to go into the umpire, but he definitely felt like he definitely was looking for some stuff.
I got to use the Goose meme, the part of the bigger meme that I used.
Yeah. So, Georgia Tech gets it done. Aiden Vinatieri was good. Stanford comes out of the bullpen, does his job very well. Tate McKee struggled a little bit. Got the first guy or first two get on, and then just absolutely shoves from there. He was fantastic.
He's had some really good starts this year. He's been really up and down, but when he's on, he looks really good.
And like I told you, Monty, I had the pleasure to sit next to his family. Shout out to them. I don't know. I know the mom has watched a couple times. Shout out to you. But the grandparents are right next to me, and they're like, yeah, we have no idea when Tate's pitching. I'm like, this is going to be interesting. So when he came out of the pen, I was like, I guess he's not starting tomorrow. They went, well, he could, I guess. He only threw 14 pitches or something. But I'm like, I don't know if you want to do that. But anyways, I had so much fun with those guys. They were great. Again, shout out to all the parents that were saying hello to me. I had multiple people say hello, multiple people say thank you. Monty, they wanted to let you know you look good as well in a Georgia Tech hat, and that it would look better on you than a Duke hat. But again, that was just relayed to me. I'm just letting you know what they said. I told them that until they get you a co-host on the team, you're probably not going to switch allegiances.
There's going to be an open slot after the season. Chad's going to be
busy. What you doing, man? What's up, Drew?
Chad's going to be busy in the financial world, so.
Hey, Drew, you want to join the podcast? But, Georgia Tech gets it done. I'm excited to get there tomorrow morning. Again, hopefully I'll actually get there at 11 at a reasonable hour. and not like super early again. But maybe I'll just repeat the same routine. That way the Buzz Boys just keep it rolling. And that was a lot of fun. Army's a heck of a ball club. You could tell, Monty, that the Army club I saw today was different than the Army club I saw in Charlottesville last year. They were just so determined. Yeah, they were so determined to win. They just had that, like, again, this is the 6th year in a row they've been here and they haven't won a game. So they were ready and itching. And they went to Ruggieri out of the bullpen, who is normally their third starter. So, like, they went all in. And they had a chance, but at the end of the day, you know,
they had Georgia on the ropes yesterday.
Yeah. So, you know, shout out to that Army ball club. Their families, parents were great too. The only thing that I have to complain about with this game was when Army homered. Not celebratory for Army. All of a sudden, I just hear woof, 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 and then like the BULO, like they spell out Bulldogs, and I'm just like, you're not playing. What are we doing? Like, you can cheer against Georgia Tech. That makes sense. But the bark for Army?
You hear that? The bark?
Yeah, right? Your dog is probably like, please don't ever do that again.
Buck is looking at me with a lot of just stress in his face.
But anyways, great win for Georgia Tech. Super happy for them. And hopefully I have a reason to stay in Athens for an extra day after tomorrow. Got to win. Got to go 1-0, then 1-0 again, and then 1-0 again. But that's all I've got. Anything you want to add on that game, Monty?
No.
Did you watch any of it, or did you realize that you would see me in it and you're like, yeah, I can't watch that?
I was focused on you, Savage, and
wow,
and Burns.
So Monty hates the troops and the Buzz Boys. This is getting really bad for Monty here.
You're the one that hates the troops.
Yeah. I guess Georgia Tech does too. All right, now let's move on to the winner brackets. But is it really a winner's bracket when everybody just wins? The ACC obviously gets it done. We're going to talk the 2 non-SEC games real quick before we do.
Real quick. Georgia Tech, who are they playing?
UNCW.
Okay, that's what I was.
And some people say that revenge is served best in the morning. So I like the idea of a little brunch special of revenge maybe for the Buzz Boys. That's the hope, right? But UNCW gave up a grand slam to Georgia, and they kind of blew that one open. So I really just need a Georgia Tech Georgia game in this regional, Monty. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. Really? You're gonna do that after you're the one that asked me that question? That's your fault.
It was a one-word answer.
I tried to move forward.
It was a one-word answer. You've given me
I tried to move forward. Anyways, 2 non-ACC SEC games that the guys got done. We'll go with the Florida State one. They beat UCF 5-2. Jamie Arnold shoves. Monty is pulling a Micah now and just putting on every hat he owns. And it's very convenient. He owns every single one that I have at this point. But a 5-2 win for Florida State.
The immaculate inning. We got to talk about that, right?
All right, Monty. This is all you because I didn't even know that happened.
Oh, second inning. 9 pitches, 3 strikeouts. Immaculate inning for Jamie Arnold. He's a stud. So I was like,
Jamie Arnold confirmed good at baseball.
Yeah. So I got to use my Hey Arnold meme a couple of times. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, Florida State does everything they need to do. The 5-2 win. I mean, they are set very well. And Monty, I don't want to do a victory lap just yet, but there was someone on this podcast, and it's not you, that predicted Florida State to win the region with UCF as the runner-up, Stetson is the 3, and Alabama as the 4. Well, Monty, someone also on this podcast, I won't say any names or anything, picked Alabama to win the region. I don't know who that might be, but clearly he does not know ball because Alabama was eliminated. So we have a Stetson UCF game tomorrow to see who gets to get a potential revenge spot against Florida State.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And by the way, that person was me. I don't know why you're pretending you don't know who it was.
I just wanted you to admit you were wrong, Monty. I just didn't want to do it for you.
I'm happy to admit I'm wrong all the time. I'm not someone like you who can't do it. So this is my chance to apologize, Monty. I'm not apologizing until you guys win. I'll apologize when you guys win.
I'm not going to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Yeah. I will admit I'm wrong, but I'm not apologizing.
Fair. But, I mean, Florida State looks fantastic. I mean, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I think of the teams that are in the winners bracket, they are the one I feel most comfortable is going to get it done. Just purely based off of what we've seen from them from a domination standpoint. And you can roll your eyes, but I mean, would you disagree?
No, I was thinking about it, and I didn't mean to make it seem like I rolled my eyes. I lifted my eyes to think about it, and then I was nodding my head yes.
But, again, big win for the Noles. Anything you want to add before we move on?
No. They shoved. I mean, Carson Dorsey and Jamie Arnold been fantastic, but now we're going to see how the rest of their bullpen can throw the rest of the weekend, which may only be one game. That I know Connor Whitaker will probably go 3 or 4 innings, I would imagine. So we'll see. But yeah, let's move on to the team on your head.
Yeah. Do you have a hat for Clemson, Monty?
I have a shirt.
Oh, that's right. You hate Clemson. I don't know why I even asked. Clemson with the 4-3 win over Coastal Carolina. Monty, first off, I want to say thank the Lord above. I have finally attended a weekend game. I know regionals are different than even a regular weekend game at DKS. That is the best environment I've experienced this year in college baseball. That was just spectacular. The crowd was in at every single pitch. I mean, nobody sat down after the 8th inning. Shout out to the folks out in the Cajun Cafe for inviting me. Some of the best food I've ever had at a ballpark. Super nice people. The amount of people too, Monty, again, stopped me to say, I had one guy shout out to him. Oh man, Trey, I think was his name. I hope it's Trey.
Man, you can't remember the guy's name because you're too busy thinking about how great you are and everyone's noticing.
Again, this is not to brag. We had multiple people stop me. And there's a lot of teenagers. I met Trevor, by the way. Shout out to Trevor. I know I met Trevor, so that's why I'm pretty positive this young man's name is Trey. He's working. He's controlling, he's one of the students helping out, making sure we're doing stuff. I'm
just laughing at. I don't mean to brag, but multiple people stopped me.
Well, Monty, it's not just me though. They would have stopped you, I think, if you were there too. I'm just simply saying
you got the moneymaker.
Almost positive it's Trey. I will see him hopefully tomorrow, so I'll be able to, or I guess maybe not hopefully tomorrow because hopefully Georgia Tech's still playing. But anyways, he was the first thing he did when he saw me was wow, you made good time from Athens. And I'm thinking I didn't know he even watched the show or anything. And I was wow, that's really cool that he knew that I came straight from Athens. So anyways, that was awesome. Shout out to all those Clemson fans. Now to the game, 4-3 win. Absolutely resilient win. Monty, Clemson hasn't homered yet in this regional. They are one of 3 teams in the entire NCAA tournament that have not hit a home run, and they are 2-0.
I think I can. I got to use that meme as well. Very exciting.
Yeah, and the best part is that in the post-game press conference, Cam was in there, and someone goes, "Cam, did you think you hit it?" Because I don't know if you saw Monty, but the sac fly was probably 10 feet away from a grand slam. And he's yeah, I thought I hit it.
That's frustrating.
But
all that matters, they won off that sac fly.
No, I mean they what I learned this weekend, but especially today, is that this Clemson team is capable of winning in multiple facets. And Eric Bakich mentioned that in the post-game press conference. Just they're not that they've relied on the home run, but that's been a big part of that, right? The Louisville comeback was the long ball. Where now they're able to win games, playing small ball. The bullpen has been incredible this regional. Shout out to Lucas Malstat. He was good. Drew Titsworth came in, did okay. But then Jacob McGovern gets the out that he needs to get. And then Austin Gordon shuts down anything that Coastal has potentially there in the 9th. But I want to tip my hat to Monty to Coastal. That team is playing well above a last 4 in. They are.
You say you want to, but then you don't.
It was a metaphor. Goodness.
Well, you have a literal hat on. You could do it.
Okay. Anyways, they were fantastic as well. I don't think this is the last time we'll see Coastal and Clemson in this regional. I think that they're going to probably run it back. I know High Point's a good ball club, but Coastal just
almost beat Clemson.
No, you're right, and that was something that that was mentioned by both coaches was just like how competitive this regional really has been. The only non-competitive game was Coastal smacking Vandy in the first game of the actual regional.
You laughed at me when I picked High Point.
I mean, yeah, because they had never been to the NCAA tournament, so that's a really bold stretch. But also hasn't been to the NCAA tournament, is looking pretty good. This team called the Evansville Aces. But anyways, yeah, I mean, great job by Clemson. Fans, fantastic. This fan base deserves it. I really hope they can get it done tomorrow night and they can get ready for a super Clemson game. But Monty, anything you want to add?
No, Hammy's just getting antsy. And now they're fighting. I don't know if you can see they're fighting off screen right now.
I do see that. It's actually pretty funny. All right, let's move on. Rumor has it Vance Honeycutt it just hit another home run. It's his 17th of the night as the Tar Heels are now up 31-6. Now, Vance Honeycutt is fantastic. North Carolina is fantastic. I mean, we saw a fantastic outing from Shea Sprague. Ben Peterson does his job. I mean, he wasn't great, but he definitely wasn't bad. And then we saw the good version of Dalton Pence. He kind of looked a little shaky, obviously yesterday against LIU, but he does his job today. And North Carolina's got to feel pretty good because Wofford LSU has a potential to be a very difficult game on LSU's pitching staff, just from a standpoint of how they grind out at bats. So, I mean, to think that LSU is going to have to win 3 games
without Holman and Jump.
Correct. I think if you're North Carolina, right, you're feeling pretty good. Obviously LSU is still capable, but I mean, the way they limited this team, this LSU lineup today, I mean, just tells you everything. And I also want to say, North Carolina fans, thank you for showing up. Monty, you didn't watch the show yesterday, but I did a one of these numbers that they'd actually show up and there wasn't going to be more purple and gold in Carolina, because I was actually a little afraid because how much was at that first game against Wofford. I was like, oh no, like, are all those people going to be able to get in because they're willing to drop the bag? But North Carolina fans said no to selling tickets and said, we're going to be there. So,
I mean, it's similar to most regions. I mean, if you went to Charlottesville, you went to Charlottesville last year and ECU took over the ballpark in the first game, and half those fans couldn't be in the ballpark for the UVA game. So
no, you're right, but there was still a pretty good ECU.
I mean, there was still a pretty good crowd.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And there was a good LSU crowd still too, so I guess that's still applicable. But I was a little scared. But overall, I mean, huge win for North Carolina, Monty. I mean, that's our top national seed for a reason, right?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they played really well. Vance Honeycutt drove in all 4. Did he drive in all 4 runs? Yeah, 3-run shot. Well, they scored more runs after that.
6, but yeah.
Yeah.
He scored the 4 big ones.
Yeah, the ones off Holman, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was clutch. I was watching that game while I was watching the UVA Mississippi State game live. Obviously, it was. I mean, this is the best time of the year. I could watch all these games, and it's fantastic to cover. Because I was like, Vance Honeycutt came up and he hit that one, and I was like, oh, like right off the bat, you knew he did it. Because I think it ended up going like 428 feet. So like it was just the second one was just so obvious. Like no way he just did it again. It was right after LSU had scored 2 runs to get back in the ball game and shift momentum a bit. And Vance Honeycutt said no. I think I tweeted big stars come up in big moments, and that's what Vance Honeycutt did, and that's what you love to see. So fantastic for UNC. LSU was one of the more dangerous 2 seeds, and they were able to beat a really good pitcher in Luke Holman.
Yeah. Now to Nick's beloved NC State Wolfpack. They get it done over South Carolina. Very scrappy group, excuse me. Once again, Monty, the ACC's website box score has all the runs that South Carolina scored for NC State and vice versa. So congratulations to South Carolina on their 6-4 win, according to the ACC, because, it just means less. But overall, I mean, South Carolina showed so much fight that I think my only takeaway from NC State was that they got the job done by being resilient, because they were, in my opinion, they are the better team, but South Carolina did not want to go away because NC State had multiple opportunities to kind of not finish them off, but just kind of put to bed a lot of the question marks. And South Carolina had an answer. Brewer homers in the 7th. Then they actually take the lead. No, and to see this is where the box score is throwing me off. But they homer in the 7th to tie the game. The 2-run bomb from Brewer. And then obviously what does NC State do in the next half? They load the bases and score a run based off of a walk. So,
and then they scored the insurance run. It was really funny. I want to say it was, I can't remember if it was Souls or Serrano, where it was kind of picked off by Messina at third base. And Messina went to throw the ball back, and it hit their helmet and ricocheted in the outfield.
So if you're talking about the 8th inning, it was Pennington stole second, advanced to third on the error. Heavner, whatever it was, scored on the throwing error.
It was Havener, then it was not Havener, I think, bunted his way on in that 8th inning.
Yeah, NC State, death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Pennington, 2 home runs.
Yeah.
Choo-choo. The Super Smash Brothers. Also, some great defensive plays from Brandon Butterworth. I got to use that the smooth as butter meme a couple times.
I'm still mad you didn't use my one that I told you to use, Monty, but it's okay.
I apologize. It's been like you told me late, and it was a really good idea, but I didn't do it. And yeah.
And you hate me. Yep. Checks out.
I mean, yeah, but that's not the reason why.
All right. Well, no, Monty, last game that you were at. Look at that. Where'd you get that hat, Monty?
I bought it.
Oh, yeah? I'm still waiting for the check then, since I know where you bought it from.
Oh, no, this is a different one.
No, it's not.
I like how you looked in, yeah.
No. All I have to do is look at the Sabres. Come on now. You know me. And now you made me believe that you didn't know the logo difference for like a good hour and a half that one time. But anyways, Virginia wins it 5-4. Monty talked me off the top of Clemson Memorial Stadium.
Pretty sure I didn't.
You're right. Virginia talked me off the ledge. Thank you.
Yeah.
Monty just left me out there to dry. Monty, I hope you appreciated my video that I only sent to you and Nick, just as a funny joke. That I joked about, the other parts.
I had to wait to watch it because I was in a press conference. But yeah.
Yeah, when I called you, I was like, "Why is Monty not answering?" I was like, "Oh, duh, press conferences." I never realized how long those took, and especially in the postseason, until I just did the one tonight where I was like, "Oh, this will be a 30-minute thing," and next thing I know, it's an hour. I'm like, "Crap! I still have a 90-minute drive back to Athens."
It should not have been that long anyway, but yeah.
Well, it wasn't that long. But
part
of it was waiting for the athletes to get there, and Coastal obviously wasn't in a hurry either.
I got Mississippi State. They came right away because they wanted to get back to their hotel. But I got some video of Lamanis and Hunter Hines. But Hunter Hines was like, somebody asked him a video on his home run. And I took a video. I was going to post stuff, but you could barely hear him. And his thing was like, I think he threw me a heater. I put a good swing on it. That was it. And I'm like, well, I'm not posting that. That's not really compelling video.
Yeah, that's what stunk was. I should have just been the guy that puts his mic on the table. All of Eric Backage's stuff was very quiet. He's a very soft-spoken guy, it seems.
Yeah.
But I mean, this was big for Virginia. I mean, when Mississippi State homered to make it 3-2, Monty, obviously my Virginia brain went to and then obviously. Yeah, I know. And then obviously Mississippi State made it 4-2. And my buddy Jay, who even makes it worse, Monty, he feeds this to me. He was like, "Yeah, this is over. The season's over." Like he was worse than I was, Monty. And I was like, I'm thinking he's at the game. I'm like, I'm waiting for the phone update to say it's like 8-2 now or something. I'm like, what in the world is going on that it's so bad that the sky is falling? And then like 5 minutes later, I got a notification the ball game's tied going into the 7th or whatever. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, so it was the freshman that balled out today. Eric Becker had all four.
Sir.
First year. Yes, but even Oak calls them freshmen. So.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
To avoid confusion, it's just easier to say that because So I mean, it is first years on the grounds, but we're going to make it the sake of everybody else. It's freshmen.
Freshman on campus, right?
Yeah. Eric Becker. Fantastic. He has a triple that hits the wall that drives in 2 runs that gave Virginia the early lead, and then he has the clutch 2 RBI single in the 7th that ties the game at 4. He had a chance to win the game. I think he grounded into a fielder's choice, but that put runners on the corners for Bobby Whalen, who they then put the runner in motion. And this is the bottom of the ninth. And I think that caused it was a really hard hit ball right at the second baseman, but he might have had a chance to double play. I don't think it was going to happen, but the runner in motion probably caused him to rush. He booted it. I think Whalen would have been safe on the back end anyway, so I think UVA would have won anyway, but monster performance from them. Really, really big performance by Matt Augustine out of the bullpen, freshman reliever. He got himself into trouble a couple of times, but every time worked himself out of it. And then Angelo Tonis comes in to face Hunter Hines. 1 pitch, 1 out. Hines wasn't too pleased with himself, I think, after the game. I think he said, again, he was soft-spoken, so it's hard to see, but hard to hear, but I think he didn't think he put a very good swing on it, probably wanted that one back. But ultimately, Virginia into the winner's bracket, and I was talking to you, I don't think the loser of this game, whether it was Virginia or Mississippi State, has the pitching depth to come back and win twice against the winner. Both teams can swing it, but it's hard to imagine either team's pitching staff being able to shut the other one down for 2 games.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when you factor in the fact that the loser also has to still play one more game even before that.
Yep.
So
again,
massive, huge. Yeah, I mean, because again, when we were having this conversation, for those obviously that don't see our text messages, hopefully none of the people listening see our text messages. This was when Virginia was losing. This was kind of like the discussion of Micah's meltdown, right? That the Virginia season's over and all that stuff. Because again, we both agreed that we felt that it's very difficult to do so. And again, it's doable. We both think Mississippi State and Virginia could be the outlier to the, because of their offense, maybe they can outswing it, but there are a lot of question marks, right? With that
Typically,
ability.
You got to have the pitching staff to get out of that.
Yeah.
And I don't think either team does. They do have the relievers available, but they've burned both their 2 good starters with Sanjay pitched really well today. I didn't see him pitch lefty at all. I think he went completely right.
Completely right. That's what I was told. He went completely righty again.
Yeah, that seems to be what his future is going to be. And, they don't want to mess with it in between innings typically because it could mess up the when he gets into a rhythm. And Cole Steven pitched on Friday night and was absolutely fantastic. So they both went well over 100 pitches, so they're pretty much done for the weekend, I would hope. But I know that Mississippi State has had trouble finding a third. Nate Dahm is an option out of the bullpen, but he's been hurt most of the season, so he's a 1 or 2 inning guy right now. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they get somebody to step up, because they got to have multiple guys step up now with 2 games tomorrow, potentially 2 games. They've got to beat St. John's first, which they had trouble doing on Friday night.
Yeah, and I think both teams are running low on pitching. I mean, St. John's had to throw a ton of arms today too against Penn. Yeah. But yeah, huge win for Virginia. Monty, guys, quickly, I'm just curious. My buddy said that the atmosphere was very, very good, but not better than the ECU game last year. Obviously, you're in the press box, so I don't know how much you get to embrace and soak all that in. What did you think of the atmosphere?
I thought the atmosphere was as good as it's ever been. And I'm in the press box. The windows are open. I'm part of the atmosphere.
Fair. That's fair.
It's not like the ACC tournament where you're not really part of it.
Yeah, you're closed and
And I was having trouble talking to people next to me.
That's awesome.
So it's funny because Virginia crowds do show up, but they don't typically get this rabid unless it's the postseason.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to remember. The East Carolina game being over a year ago and being so close would be tough.
I think the ECU thing that made it so. My buddy, this is what he said. He kind of agreed with me. What stood out to me last year with the ECU game was, again, how many ECU fans showed up and the back and forth that was a part of that.
That might have been the factor because there's a good number of Mississippi State fans, but I thought there'd be more. Yeah. Understandably, it's a long trip, so I don't blame them for not making it all the way out here. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's going to obviously, in order, rank about going into tomorrow for all 7. Okay. Let's do that real quick, Monty. That should be fun. Yeah. I hate to do it, but I do think number 7 for me is going to be Georgia Tech. Just because Georgia would be waiting on the horizon if they can get over the UNCW hump. And that Georgia team right now looks pretty tough to beat. So that's not a shot at Georgia Tech. It's just we're at a rank 7 here. And Georgia Tech does better when I doubt them. So I'm doubting you boys. Just keep that in the back of your minds. But I think that would be the clear 7 for me. And I mean, obviously, I think Duke has to fall to 6, Monty, just purely because they have to win 2 games.
I agree. I was thinking about that just now is what I would rank them, and I think I'd agree with you just because they have to win 2 games. It's hard to say that you'd be more worried about a team that's in the winner's bracket and is a number 1 seed than a team that has to come from the loser's bracket and win 2 games. So I think it just has to be Duke by default.
Yeah, I think 5 for me is going to be Virginia, just because Mississippi State's probably the most dangerous team left. That or LSU, depending on how you want to look at it.
UNC has more pitching left, I think, than Virginia.
Yeah, and I also would just say too, I think Wofford's a tougher matchup for LSU than St. John's is going to be for Mississippi State from that standpoint as well. So I'd put Virginia at 5, and then by rule, obviously UNC at 4. 3 would be NC State, and then 2 for me would be Clemson, and then 1 would be Florida State that I feel the most confident in. I say that regional's hard, but again, Florida State has looked so good. You could swap Clemson or Florida State.
Their offense hasn't even gotten going.
Exactly. And that's the same thing with Clemson too. And I could see, you know what, Monty, when you're in a press conference, I think you've probably developed this ability, right? You can kind of hear the words they're saying, and they're saying one thing, but you can hear the tone and kind of it felt like Gilmore, not that he says, oh, our team's done, right? But you could tell Gilmore when he was asked, what do you do with the pitching? He's like, we're just going to have people step up. Kind of the most honest answer you can give. I don't think Coastal's got the pitching, and I'm sure that probably is the same way for a Stetson or a UCF at this point too. So,
and that's what makes that losers bracket so difficult. And that's why I believe in Duke to be able to get out of it, because they do have the pitching depth. They may not get out of it, but of all the teams that are in the losing bracket, I felt like Duke's probably the best set up to escape from it. Doesn't necessarily mean they will.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Duke, again, if one other team would have lost, Duke just for every ACC team that would have potentially lost today, Duke would have probably moved up the pecking order for us, just because they probably would have been the most. Again, we went into it. You weren't on the show yesterday, but I mean, I felt the most confident in Duke coming back from the 0-1 deficit. A lot of people picked Wake in our poll we put on Twitter, but I think that was just also Wake fans taking over the poll. But yeah, I mean, this is Josh. Great question. I can't wait for tomorrow. I don't know if I want to go to Clemson, because that obviously means Georgia Tech season's over. But at least I know I'll have 2 ACC games tomorrow, which makes my heart happy.
He is probably not. Kyle Johnson pitched 3 innings today in the middle innings, so I doubt he's going. I don't know how many he threw.
So is that going to be Healy then, or Healy?
I would imagine Higgins maybe. Higgins pitched a little bit on Friday, but I mean they can go. I mean Bielenson's probably trying to ask for all 18. So
some are saying he's in the cages right now throwing to Oklahoma hitters.
Chuck is like, please, I'll throw all 18 innings. I don't care. No.
Wallace Clark still has the thumbprint to get into the hitting facility, and Chuck's in there just throwing BP to Wallace. But no, I mean, that's again, Monty. Last year, what made Duke special and so dangerous, I think, what got him, 1 win away from Omaha, was the ability of so many arms to step up. And now, obviously, in an ideal world, you have 3 starting pitchers and who your back end guys are. But in college baseball, you never have that. But Duke, like you said, has so many arms that you can feel comfortable trotting out there. That's what makes them so dangerous.
And the only reason they threw Charlie Bielenson today is because he needs to throw more often to be effective.
Yeah, if he goes 2 games without being used, I mean,
right, he may
not never. Yeah, I'll never throw a strike again.
So that's what's funny is you might be like, oh, they used Bielenson tonight. That's because they had to, because he'll be more effective tomorrow when they need him.
Yeah. So that's going to be, I mean, I know that's going to be a fun one. That's that 3:00 game, which is kind of ideal because, it'll give me something to listen to on the drive to Clemson, or again, just to kill time in the press box in Athens. But Monty, thank you for hopping on. Don't tell Jake, but Jake, if you watch this, I enjoy doing shows with Monty better. But Monty also lets me talk. So
is that the problem? Jake's trying too hard to compete.
Nobody can compete with me, Monty. Nobody.
All right. Well, we'll see you maybe tomorrow, maybe not. Enjoy the games. There's 32 teams left to be eliminated over the next 2 days. So get your tissues out.
There's going to be 32 teams left to be eliminated. That means we have 0.
No, there's 16 eliminated, 16 stay, 32 get eliminated.
Yep, we've already eliminated 16 of them, Monty.
Right, so there's 48 teams left.
You just said 32 teams will be eliminated this week, like tomorrow is what you basically just said.
Yeah, so 16 have been eliminated. 32 are set to be eliminated tomorrow and Monday, and then 16 are left.
Oh, yeah.
You thought I was dumb. You're the dumb
ACC
one.
After Dark, and Micah doesn't know how to maths. Well, Monty, I am so sorry for trying to tell you were wrong when Micah Butel was wrong.
This doesn't count. This doesn't. What next time when you're like, I can admit I'm wrong. All right, see y'all.
Buzz, buzz.
Buzz, buzz.